So I'm a clinical psychologist. I've been one for, oh gosh, nearly 50 years now. It's terrible, isn't it? And my beginnings were very much in terms of studying depression. That's what I did my PhD in. And one of the things that was clear in depression is that people had some very negative views about themselves, the future, and so on. And subsequent to my PhD, I did cognitive therapy. Cognitive therapy can be helpful for some people, but one of the things I found was that when people were trying to look at the way in which they thought about things and then stand back and come up with alternative thoughts, it didn't always help them. And I remember I had a client who had a number of suicide attempts, unfortunately, and she'd been adopted and felt she shouldn't be born. But she'd made a good relationship with her partner, with her husband, who's a nice guy, and she had 3 lovely children. And she said, yes, I know all that, but I still think I'm not lovable. I still think I shouldn't be here. So I said to her, well, tell me, I mean, how do you hear that in your mind? How does that feel to you? Now, I don't know why I asked her that question. I think it was because I didn't know what else to ask her, but I was shocked. This created what we call the 3 shocks. So the first shock was when she spoke it out. I said, speak it out as you actually hear it in your mind. And I said, as I actually hear it? I said, yes. She said, come on, you're doing cognitive therapy, aren't you? You got a husband who loves you. You got 3 lovely children. It was really very hostile. And I said, my gosh. She said, yes, this is cognitive therapy. I've got to convince myself. I've got to learn to change my beliefs, right? Well, maybe, but not quite like that. So that was a bit of a shock, the degree of hostility, even when people were trying to be helpful. The content was kind of trying to be helpful, but the emotional texture of the thinking was really hostile. So obviously we said, okay, well, what about if we warm that up a little bit and just focus on really, really compassionate idea, motivation behind that when you're trying to stand back and look at your depression and seeing what's going on, that's motivated to try to help you. And she said, no, why would I want to do that? I don't want to be kind to myself. I don't think I deserve to be kind to myself. I've never been kind to myself, but I don't anticipate being kind now. I can't see how it's going to help me. Now, we use this wonderful person in our training. So if you come onto our training, you'll see her, and she says, no, that's weak. That's not going to help me. I need something firmer. I need something I can really make myself believe. I don't want any of this kindness crap. So that was the second shock. That was quite a lot of resistance to the idea of generating compassionate motivation and generating kind textures to it. And the third shock was that when they did start to do it and they could begin to feel compassion, it opened up a Pandora's box of unprocessed trauma in the care system. Now, I should have anticipated that because all motivational systems carry their own trauma. So, for example, if you like going on holidays, you love holidays, you're very motivated to explore, but then one year you go on holiday and you get seriously ill or beaten up or something horrible happens to you. Next year, when you remember holidays, you're not going to remember all the good things. The trauma will be the first thing that came back. So when you open up the care system, when you open up the feelings of caring, if you've got trauma in there, you've been neglected or abused or whatever, that's what starts to arise. And it's, I should have anticipated that. And so people started to say, well, I can see it would help me, but I can't do it. I don't like it. When I start to try to be compassionate to myself, I just want to cry. I just want to cry. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. It feels terrible. So that was the third shock of recognizing that for many of our clients, when we begin to stimulate compassion, you're actually beginning to open up the memories associated with not being cared for, because the care system, that care motivational system, holds those memories. So compassion focused therapy really was developed for those individuals who struggle with compassion, okay, who struggle with being kind. If they can do it, and that's great. But many of the clients I saw who had quite major mental health difficulties, they really couldn't. And when they started to engage with compassion, it was very, very tough for them. So you, as a therapist, you had to guide them through working with a lot of unprocessed grief that they were very frightened of because it kind of stabilized them a bit, and sometimes immense rage that they were also very frightened of. One lady, again, we have her in our training. She said, you used to keep talking to me about my anger, about what happened to me. She said, and I hated it, because I don't want to be angry. I don't want to feel anger. I came to you for help and you were making me feel even worse. But processing these unprocessed emotions in the care system, particularly if you've been abused or whatever, is extremely important. So that basically is how compassion-focused therapy developed, we'll call the 3 shocks. And the struggle that some clients have in being compassionate, and they push it away. It's too difficult. I don't deserve it. Just makes me, I just feel sad. And actually, when I start practicing compassion, I just get angry and irritable. I can't be bothered with it, all that stuff, because that's what's in the care system.
That's so interesting. The idea that whenever you do open up compassion, you're also opening up all of that hurt, all of that trauma, all of those emotional wounds. And that's a scary thing for people to go there.
Very scary, very scary.
And since you've developed this, Paul, this has now been used all over the world by thousands of practitioners. It's being used in therapy, being used in coaching, being used in organizations, and you were awarded an OBE for your services, I think, a few years ago as well. So it's really making waves, and it's only continuing to grow. So really, really exciting.